Welcome, hola, bienvenidos. Welcome to Miss Cooper's pre-algebra class. I am so excited really to lay your foundation in algebra. Many of my students here at Harrisburg Area Community College come from diverse backgrounds, and they tell me that maybe their foundation in high school or middle school was rocky, or they simply don't remember a lot, and they want to have this refresher course. It's really going to solidify their foundation in order of operations, negative numbers, working with fractions, all of these things without a calculator. And you want to solidify that before you dive headfirst into a college algebra course. So let's go. Lesson 1, place value. The position of each digit in a number determines its place value. Understanding place value is at the root of developing one's number sense. Without an understanding of place value, rounding and estimation would be impossible, and other necessary mathematical calculations would be impossible, as we will see in the future. It may seem at first, wow, it may seem that I'm doing something elementary by giving you this place value chart, but as we're going to see in a moment, if I give you a large number and tell you to say it and write it as if you're writing out a check, that is difficult for some students, especially students that have English as a second language. And whoever writes out a check for $35 million, I don't. But let's go ahead and remind ourselves of the place value chart. For starters, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, and so on and so forth. And you see how this is going to go on out in that direction. So you may even be wondering what comes after 100 billions. Can any of you guess? I'll just put it here. Trillions. And boy, we wish we had trillions, right? So have this place value chart sort of burnt into your mind as like if it was a CD burner. Okay, can you say and write the following number in words? I'm going to say it with you. 35,689,402. Notice I didn't say 402. So the word and gets used later on when we're dealing with fractions and decimals. It doesn't get used in whole numbers. So like I said, this may sound like a simple task to write this out, but it may be difficult for some students. So how often do we get to write out a check for that much money in the real world? So you see here, this first one I have the answer written out, 35,689,402. Things that I want you to take note of. Notice 89 is dashed. There's a dash, right? Notice 35 is dashed. So it's basically when you have a number, in a two-digit number in between 20 and 100 that's not a multiple of 5 or 10, that's not a multiple of 10, I should say, you're going to dash it. So for example, if I told you to write, 26, it'd be 26, okay? So let's practice. You may want to hit pause. Let's practice this one. Try this one on your own. How do you say it in words and write it in words? I'll hit pause as well. So I wanted you to see me do this in real time, so I always practice saying it first. 408,986. Now, I've begun to write it down here. 408,000, comma, 986. 900. And notice I'm not going to say and 86. I'm just going to say 986. And since 86 is, a two-digit number that's not a multiple of 10, it's a two-digit number in between 1 and 100, I'm going to write it with the dash like we said before. 86. Okay? So like I said, it's awkward to write these things out as if you were writing a check because we don't do that very often in the real world. And I always have sympathy for my students that have English as a second language, because I know if somebody forced me to do this in Spanish, I would, have a tough time. I'd have to really think about it. Okay, let's see what's on the next slide. Expanded form. Place value helps you write a number in standard form to expanded form. So I just want to talk about that. Here's 4,786. Notice in expanded form, it's almost like you're saying the 4 is in the thousand spot. So it's like you're saying 4 times 1,000. It's like times its place value. Plus the 7 is in the hundred spot, so plus 7 times 100. So I like to think of it as like each digit times its place value. Notice the 8 is in the 10 spot, so I'm even going to write that here. I like expanded form like this. 4 times 1,000 plus 7 times 100 plus 8 times, well look, 8's in the 10 spot, plus 6 is in the 1 spot, right? And I'm kind of running out of room there at the edge. But you can see 4 times 1,000 makes 4,000, 7 times 100 makes 700, 8 times 10 makes 80, and 6 times 1 makes 6. So you can write a number, the place value of a digit can be used to write a number in expanded form. And the expanded form of a number shows each digit of the number with its place value. That's useful when you take upper level math courses and you have to convert into other bases. So there's a course here at HACC called Math 111, and you convert numbers into base 2, base 16, base 8. So there's other, we run on a base 10 system here, right? The Hindu-Arabic number system is base 10. But what if you wanted to convert to binary, base 2, or say a base 8 system? So it's a useful skill to be able to think about a number in its expanded form. So let's try one. You may want to hit pause. Try to write this number in expanded form. Okay, so I always think about the place value. That's in the 100,000 spot, right? So 3 times 100,000 plus, and this is really good practice with the place value chart, plus 4 times 10,000 plus what? 6 times 1,000 plus 1 times 100, and then 0, if you're adding 0, that's not really going to affect it. So plus 2 times 1. 2's in the unit spot. So now you could leave it like that for me. I'd be happy. Or you could clean that up a little bit and say, okay, that's 300,000 plus 40,000 plus, perform that multiplication, plus 6,000 plus, that's a 1, plus 100, and then plus just 2. So this would be considered expanded form as well. All right, hope you got that right. Before we head into any kind of chapter on integers, signed numbers, let's review some symbols. I wanted to, because we're going to be comparing numbers in the near future, and we have to have these symbols under control. So let's review the symbols for less than and greater than. I always say you can remember this is the less than, because if you open it up, it kind of looks like an L, L for less than, right? Many students struggle with these symbols, but there are, ways to help memorize them. 2 is less than 5, symbolically would be written like this. 2 less than 5. 5 is greater than 2 is written symbolically like this. So, math people, they like to shorthand everything. Mathematicians don't like to write out long sentences, so they create symbols. All right, let's practice. And I always tell people, if the symbols drive you nuts, just write words at first. Compare 3 to 14. Well, clearly 3 is less than 14, right? So just write that, is less than. And then think about what is the symbol that represents less than. Ta-da, less than. Some people have cutesy ways of memorizing that, like they say, oh gee, it looks like the symbol points to the smaller number. And that's true. I mean, if that helps you. Points to smaller number. Okay? Now let's try this next one. 8 blank 6. Well, clearly 8 is greater than 6. But what's the symbol for greater than? This. Okay? And once again, the pointer is pointing to the smaller number. So if that helps you sort of memorize the direction of motion. But you have to get those symbols down. How do you say is less than? You need this symbol. And how do you say is greater than? You need this symbol. All right, and I believe, wow, look at that. That completes Lesson 1, Place Value. Good luck out there, and I'll catch you on Lesson 2.